Hi, my name is Gil Robson. I'm race director for CanLake Ultras. CanLake 50 Ultras is an ultramarathon hosted by Greater Rochester Track Club that offers 50-mile and 50K and 25K distances. Today's Zoom's interview guests are Ellie, Pell, and Nick Brady, winners of this year's 50-mile race. This year featured outstanding performance of both our guests. Nick's time was second fastest out at CanLake Ultra's history, and Ellie set a new female course record by 40 minutes. She was also the first female to break 7-hour mark at the race. And according to the Ultra Running Magazine's website, Ellie's 6-hour 21 and 40-second finish was the fastest 50-mile finish this year in North America, where Nick's 6-hour 5-minute and 59-second time landed him in a number 9 spot as the best 50-mile performance in North America by male. Mind you, this was Nick's first official race over 5K. So welcome, guys. We'd like to hear about your experiences at the race. How did it go? How did you sign up for a race? How you get to the race? What your thoughts before the race? What happened during the race and nutrition-wise and whatnot? And I'll start with telling how it was from my perspective. Before the race, I knew who Ellie was. And I thought actually that when I saw her signing up for a race, I thought there's a good chance that she might even be an overall winner, which has happened for CanLakes before that. We have an overall female winner as well. But all I knew about Nick was that he would email me a lot of questions before the race, which I responded, but nothing too much. So one thing that I like to do before the race goes off is a caution, especially the first time, is not go too fast because that's going to lead them to crush and burn, hitting the famous marathon wall. So when I saw the Ellie at the starting line, I said something like, if you are running ahead of Ellie, and if you don't know who she is, you're running too fast. So after the start, I get into truck that delivers aid station supplies, and I catch up with the runners as I go with the truck and see who is running, who is not. And when I reach the lead guys, I see Nick and Ellie running together. And I'm thinking like, okay, just oh no, this guy is gonna run into wall, crash and burn fast. But when I observed him, it's more like actually Nick had a decent running gait and his stride was fairly effortless. And I thought maybe I might be wrong this time. So anyway, guys, take it away. Tell your experiences, how you get to how you sign up, why you decided to sign up, and how did it go at the race. So
well, I want to hear about Nick's experience because it was really fun to run with him and hear a little bit of his story. And I feel like he's just starting his ultra journey. So this is going to be, I was here first, everybody. So, I can say I knew him when he was a nobody. And also my journey to the race is not super exciting. So I'm very interested to hear how somebody who's only run raced a 5K, even conceptualized training for this. And you were very professional. You had a crew handing you water bottles. I was still aid station. Great. So I want to hear what happened for you, Nick.
Well, I just want to first start off by saying, yeah, I treated this as a peak race. And I'm sure if you did that too, you probably would have beaten me. But anyways, no, yeah. So I was just a 5K runner. And I guess it's widely known that I hadn't done a race over a 5K ever. But this past May, I decided to go out and run a marathon because I wanted to see if I could do it and how my body would react. And then I did it at a slow pace. And then the weekend after that, I wanted to go and run 30 miles and see how I would feel and push myself just a little bit further. And then I really loved it. So then I'm maybe I can actually start training for an ultra. And so I started running, and more consistently, I would say like 40 or 50 miles a week. And then late June, I saw this race, and it was a road race, and I'm not experienced in trails. So this race seemed really appealing to me. So then late June, early July, I signed up, and then I gradually increased my miles from like 70 miles a week, then to eventually 120 miles a week before I tapered down. And yeah, like that whole time, the 3 months leading up to this race, I was doing like a lot of research on how like people like you run ultras, like the crew that's involved, the nutrition that it takes, and yeah, everything from the shoes to testing out different gear. I was running in a backpack, well, not a backpack, but like a pack. And then I switched to handheld because I found that worked better for me. I was taking in 2 gels plus fluid an hour, so it was around 300 calories an hour. I had driven the course twice with my dad beforehand, and we picked out the locations I wanted him to stop at so he could hand me the bottles, which was every 10-ish miles, because I knew it would take me around an hour to 70 minutes to get all of my fluids down, and then I'd be ready for a new bottle. And then other than that, I think my longest training run leading up to this was only 30 miles, which I guess in the ultra world, I mean, is average. I didn't get in that much vertical a week. It was only around 5,000 a week, but I think that was good for me because I was so new. And yeah, training was crazy because I just wasn't used to it. I took a big risk, and probably not the smartest risk, by jumping from running 40 or 50 miles a week to running 100 miles a week, but I literally had nothing to lose. Like, I'm not in a contract. I don't have any other obligation.
Okay. So
Race. And
go ahead.
Oh.
You were breaking out a little bit. So
go ahead. I think I was talking too much.
Oh, no. There was a pause. It was like so that's a training. So you basically just cross trained for like 3 months to get to it. So tell me about the race. So how you got to the race and what was on your mind?
Yeah. So leading up to the race, I knew the course record was 5:47 set by Cole Crosby in 2013. And I was messaging him on Instagram before the race, asking him for tips on how to run it. And he was saying how this is a really tough ultra marathon course. Even though it's a road marathon, it's really tough because of Bopple Hill, and especially the hill at mile 38, which ended up being the hardest hill for me. Anyways, we got there the night before, and I had a goal of running around 6:45 or 6:50 pace for it, but I also didn't want to check my watch too much because I knew if I was just running by pace and not on how I feel, then I would have a chance of hitting a wall or burning out and not running a good race. So the first 5 miles, I think we ran pretty conservative. We started like 7:20 pace. I think we hit a few 6:50s, and there's another guy with us at that point. And then my whole kind of strategy was in the beginning of the race, like, I love running with Ellie because it made the time go by faster, and we were having fun, which I loved. But then when she had to stop for her second aid station, I think it was mile 18, I was like, if I have a chance of possibly beating her, I might have to keep running.
I had to go to the bathroom. I was like, I'm not just gonna like go into my pants. Like,
yeah. So, because I really wanted to win. Like, I was probably downplaying that a little bit when I was talking to her in the beginning, but I was, I researched her after you said she signed up, and I was like, I really can't lose. So I was like researching her if I could compete with her. But then, yeah, so around the first 18 miles, it was like nothing. Like, I was feeling great. And then around mile 25 or 26, I'm like,
Oh, I think we lost him a little bit.
This is hurt a little bit. This is a little bit. And then
you broke out. Sorry, Nick,
rewind to mile 25.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, so my legs were feeling it a little bit. Aerobically and breathing wise, I was okay, but my legs were definitely starting to feel it, probably from all the pavement. But was feeling good around mile 25, like okay around mile 25. But when we had that turnaround on Sunnyside Road, I believe it was, I saw that Elle wasn't as far away as I thought she was. So then I hammered a few miles, but then I started hitting the hills and it started raining and I was really feeling it. And then the mile 38 hill, I really was dragging it. I was really slowing down.
I walked.
Yeah, I almost walked that hill. And then at that point in the race, obviously my legs were absolutely destroyed and my hamstrings were getting really tight. So at mile 39 or 40, I believe, I did a butt kick to try to loosen up my hamstrings mid race, and my hamstrings completely seized up. So then I was on the ground at that point and I couldn't get up and I couldn't walk. So my parents, like they saw that they couldn't do anything. They were just watching me from the distance. And I eventually was able to get up. I started walking. I thought I was almost going to have to pull out of the race, but then somehow I was able to run again. And then from mile 40 on, it was, my pace definitely slowed and I was really scared. I kept looking over my shoulder the whole time, worried I was going to be caught, but luckily I wasn't. And yeah, it took about a week for me to recover after that race.
A week.
Yeah, like about a week. I'm back in the thick of training now because I have JFK 50 miler in a few weeks. But yeah, I was really, really destroyed after that race. Obviously no stairs or anything like that.
Ellie, how was your race experience? What you can add to the Nick's?
Yeah, I didn't know that Nick was like all going to the sabotage, gotta beat her. We know it was lovely. I don't normally get the chance to run with people during races, so it was so nice to have somebody to about mile 18. And I told him at every time that I went to an aid station, you can keep going, and he listened to me. And I mean,
Stop the first two.
Yeah, no, and he did. It was lovely. And then, you got to run your own race. I mean, you can say that you're going to start and run a race with somebody, but you got to run your own race. That's just the way it is. So I signed up the Monday before the race. I knew about it because my friend Matt Bertrand actually proposed to his wife at the end of the race. And so I've been curious about this race. It was his first 50 miler. And so I knew about it, but it had never worked out for me to do it. But I knew that it would be something that I want to try. Even it seems like it should be easy-ish because it's on pavement, but it's actually a pretty tough course. I didn't realize that how much elevation gain that there was. And also because I signed up on Monday. So I was like, well, I mean, every race I'm there, I give the best effort that I can, but there are some races obviously to prepare more for than others. And I have to say that I was mostly after I did my first 100K in the beginning of September. And so I really just wanted to see how I recovered from that. And then if I had time and I was all good with schoolwork and stuff, and I wanted to do this race, I would go out. And I wasn't even sure if I wanted to do the 50K or the 50 mile, but 50 mile, I guess I decided I would start. And I really had no problem if I couldn't finish or something happened and I had to drop. It was a very low pressure situation for me, I think. Because like Nick's had been training for 3 months. So it was a big deal. Whereas with me, I was like, this is kind of like icing on the cake. I love running. So I just wanted to run for as long as I could. And if I blew up, then I blew up. So at the beginning, and I was hoping that because I signed up so late, I would be really inconspicuous. No one would know I was there. And then when you pointed me out in the beginning, I was just like, oh no, now, people I'm going to have a target on my back, but little did I know Nick already knew, and I already had a target on my back. So there we go. Yeah, it was really interesting to just hear about Nick's background in the first couple miles. It really did make everything go pretty fast. And then when he dropped me at mile 18, I, I have to say that things felt pretty good until, a same point as Nick, actually, between like miles, like the marathon and then till like mile 30-ish. I was kind of in that place where you're like, I should have done the 50K. I really should have done the 50K. But I think that those low moments just happen. And in longer ultras, you have like 4 of those. So only having that once is kind of nice. After the 50K, I changed my shoes, which I think is another way Nick got a little bit more, kept like getting more ahead of me, as I did change shoes. And that felt pretty nice. But yeah, then it started raining a little bit, and the course is really, it's nice in that it's up and down, that you use different muscles, but also there's never really any, I don't know, I never really felt like, oh, I'm going to open up here. It was always just like, oh, well, be careful because it's really steep, and I just sort of kept waiting I really thought I was going to blow up, because we were running at like a pretty nice clip. I think I averaged like 7:30, 7:34-ish miles, which is pretty fast for 50 miles. Like that's like my normal easy pace. So, for like an hour run during the week, like that's like, so, and sometimes even I'll go even slower than that. So, I just kept wondering if I was going to blow up, but I really kept on my nutrition. And I think it helped because Nick and I had like the similar style, like a gel every half an hour or every 4 miles. So it really helped me stay on that side of nutrition. And then, yeah, I don't really like, there was nothing really that made me want to quit. I think just in the past year, I've really worked hard on being comfortable in the uncomfort. So I knew nothing was going to get worse if I stayed at the same pace. So I just didn't slow down, because I knew that it wasn't going to get any better if I slowed down, and it wasn't going to get any worse if I kept going. So that's kind of was from miles 30 to the end. That's just kind of what I was focusing on, just getting in the nutrition. And then in the last 8 miles, my stomach was just like, don't give me any more of this food. I cannot take anymore. So I didn't actually take anything in for the last 8 miles. And I think at that point, my stomach just needed to work and use the nutrition that it had. And, but yeah, I think we lucked out with a very nice day, actually. Like, it didn't really, I don't know if it actually rained on me. It was more like mist and kind of like wind when you were going on the highway. So it was just a little bit miserable. But yeah, we lucked out with a really nice day. And yeah, my experience was great. I mean, who knows, maybe I'll come back after putting in a solid training block, but then also I trained all summer for 100K. So I think the reason I was able to benefit off of that was I had all that fitness, and then I took a break. So I felt really fresh, and then I came and used it. So, yeah.
So how was there's this infamous downhill with about half mile to go to the finish line. So how was that downhill?
I was so scared coming up on that hill, especially because my whole crew was telling me to be careful. And I knew I really had to be careful, because like Elle said, for miles 40 on and kind of the last 8, I was like completely dead. My legs couldn't move any faster. And so I was worried if I was caught, I didn't have a response, because I really couldn't go any faster. I was just stuck in like the same pace. So when the downhill came up, I kind of walked it. I was really nervous about like going over the lip of the road and then falling, because again, like my legs were just so used to running on the pavement. A big change like that was I was thinking about for a couple miles beforehand, but it ended up going okay. And I would say I walked / hobbled down it, because my legs were absolutely shot. But once I was down that, and actually not until that hill, I thought I was going to win. I was worried I was going to get caught up until that hill. But after that hill, I finally felt safe, I guess you could say. But that hill was definitely I wouldn't say the hardest downhill on the course, because there are some really steep downhills on the course, but I was most nervous about that hill because it was right at the end. Every runner's legs are going to be dead, and you have to figure out how to navigate down a grass hill that could have holes, rocks, and it's a different surface. You're using road shoes, whereas maybe trail shoes would be favorable then. And I was wearing Alpha Flies, which aren't really made for grass. But luckily it went okay for me. And I really thought I was possibly going to fall, but I didn't. So
Ellie?
Honestly, usually for like the last 3 to 5 miles of an ultra, I just keep telling myself that you can collapse at the finish line. So I don't really remember it being that much worse than any other part of the race. I just kept running. And I jokingly say, like, I think I'm just too dumb to slow down. Like, I could have slowed down. I mean, why didn't I? I don't know. Any smart person would have, but I just didn't, because I was like, you're almost there. Just like, stop whining. You're fine. Like, it's just pain. Keep going. And so, yeah, the last downhill, I was more like, I'm going to get lost now because I get to go over the grass. So I was like, oh, is this right? Like, I don't know. And the lady told me something, but I don't remember it. And so I was just like, Ellie, you're going to get lost. I know this about you. And thankfully my instincts were right and I didn't get lost.
Yeah. You touched a little bit about your nutrition during the race. So that's one of the questions what the CanLake Facebook group folks want to know. What did you eat? So you're
Sure. I always start with just gels. So I like Cliff Shots. And just the texture of them is good. It works well for me. So I did vanilla Cliff Shots the whole time. And then I supplement. I try to have like some pickles for the salts or towards in the beginning. And then the second half, usually I want like real food. This time I ate a lot of fruit in the second half, a lot of bananas and oranges. And then I usually have water to start off in my bottle, and then just to assess how my nutrition is going. And then in the second half, whatever was in the guru or whatever you guys had at the aid stations is what I put in my bottle. Luckily, my stomach is pretty good, so I can usually eat anything or drink anything, and then find something that I can eat on the table. But a lot of times I also make sure that I have vanilla goo or vanilla gels. I don't use goo, gels like Cliff Shots in with me just in case I can't stomach anything else. But also I've done it. So that was like, a road is a little bit different than a trail ultra. So in trail ultras, they are a little bit longer. So towards the second half of the race, like I do things like I did pierogies. I can do like more real food. And I also really love when aid stations have it, broth or soup. I usually will actually put that in my bottle. And so if I have something like the sweet and savory, really helps me keep getting nutrition in. I think it's like flavor and palate fatigue that kind of I need to consciously work on getting over it. Like, it doesn't matter if you're not hungry, you need to keep eating. So in the last 10 miles, I think I had eaten sufficiently in the beginning of the race. And so I just needed to like let it work, like you take a lot in, you just need to let it digest and get to your muscles. And so I was fine for the last 8 to 10 miles because I had eaten enough. And I also think that also doing Virgil in the beginning of September, and I eat a lot during the race, and then it doesn't take me as long to recover from the races. So it only takes me like 5 to 6 days to feel like not soreness anymore. The fatigue, as long as I'm sleeping, the fatigue is pretty much gone. I don't run for like a week plus at least after big races like this. But I do find that my recovery is faster, just feeling normal. If I am eating, I'm taking in a lot during the race. So sometimes might not matter during the race, like in the moment, but I like running. So I don't want to feel messed up for a very long time after races. So for me, eating a lot during the race helps me recover after as well.
So you did not have an outside help. You literally relied on aid stations.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've never actually had a crew or anything. So I don't even know what I would tell. I mean, like you were professional, Nick, like you had the car and like they were like throwing you bottles, like no seconds wasted here. And that was great. It was cool to see. I mean, it's interesting to see how much information there is that really for someone doing their first ultra that you already know like so much stuff like that you do even more than you prepared more than I ever have for a race. And so, no, I didn't have any help, but part of what I like about ultras is the community feel. And I feel like I am a very personable person. I'm very extroverted. So when I go to an aid station, I I love saying hello to people and it's great. I mean, I'm only going to lose like 5 to 10 seconds. So it's not a huge, like in the context of an ultra, and it gives me a boost. And I also think that it's important for me to be able to eat anything at any time. And so I definitely rely on aid stations, but I also think that sports nutrition products are important too. So I think a little bit of both. I'm not dogmatic about anything. If it works in the moment, I'm going to eat it.
Nick, what is your plan?
Yeah, sure. So I had 5 handheld bottles given me throughout the race. Well, I started with one at the starting line, and in each of those bottles, the liquid was 18 ounces of scratch, and in 3 bottles, and then 2 bottles I had honey stinger like mix, which is like sodium, electrolytes, and a little bit of caffeine actually. So that was my liquid in each, and it was 18 ounces. I think it's important to consume like 15 to 20 ounces an hour while running. I mean, it depends, individual to individual. And then in like the zipper compartment that I have attached to the bottles, they're Nathan water bottles. I had 2 gels, Morton, and snacks in case I got hungry. I knew every 4 miles I wanted to take a gel, and each gel is 100 calories. So it was a gel every 4 miles, which equates to 200 calories an hour plus a water bottle an hour. And that was around 100 to 150 calories. So I knew I wanted to take in around 300 to 350 calories just based on my training that I've done and the blogs and everything I've read about it. I think a really important thing that worked well for me was practicing with my bottles on every single run, even on easy runs. My easy runs were 12 miles. And I would just, even though I didn't need the fluids, I carried it and practiced sipping on them every mile, just like I wanted to do during the race. And then for my longer runs, I would do like 9-mile loops, and I would leave my extra bottles on the back of my car. So then when I ran by, I would pick the new one up and take in the gels and the bottle and then, discard of it. But yeah, I really practiced to the best that I could every long run and every easy run with my nutrition. I was planning on eating some of the snacks that I had throughout the race. Like I packed honey stinger waffles and some like scratched little like gummies, but my stomach couldn't handle it. I think that was probably because I was taking in that much per hour. And then the last 10 miles, I had to force myself to take in the gels because I thought if I didn't, I might bonk. I don't know if I would have or not.
You would
But
have.
yeah, yeah, I probably would have. So I'm really happy that I took in those gels. And yeah, I didn't stop to go to the bathroom once, which surprised me because if you think about it, I drank 5 full bottles and that's 18 ounces of fluid. So that's a lot. And yeah, so I'm really surprised I didn't have to stop and go to the bathroom. But yeah, I'm just happy it all worked out on race day. So yeah, I would say it was around 300 calories an hour and a mix of electrolytes, gels, and yeah, that's it. I would usually you do have to eat real food from what I read, but and I was planning on it, but my stomach just couldn't handle it. And I knew that I didn't have to because I was already taking in 300 calories an hour. So I knew that I was still getting in a decent amount per hour without taking in real food.
Yeah.
That's impressive. Like you really had it down to a science. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I probably should have found something else to do with my time over the summer. But yeah, it was constant research because I'm like, I'm gonna win. I kept telling myself that every run, But then when I saw the announcement that you signed up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose. I'm gonna lose. and that's when I started like researching your Strava, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna win. And
Oh goodness.
my
I'm
like,
sorry that like the illusion of me screwed with your head so much. Like, oh Lord. I mean, my Strava isn't anything impressive. I maybe peak at like 60 miles a week, especially this summer. Like, so I mean, 120 is like double what I do. It's just what works for me. I think we all need to find what works for us. So I mean, whenever I can't even imagine running 120 miles a week.
and I think another thing that I did during training, I don't know if other people would benefit from this, is the super shoes I wore, the Nike Alpha Flies, during the race. I didn't wear once during training. I only wore my trainers during training. And my theory was, if I only wear my trainers during training and not these carbon plated shoes that I would wear during the race, when I finally put them on race day, my legs would feel great. And I don't know if I would recommend that, because I think they help you recover after long runs and other workouts, but it worked great for me. And I did feel great on race day with wearing those shoes.
It's funny you say that. I was going to ask, because I wore the Kinvaras for the first 30, and then I changed into the Speeds, which have like a nylon plate. I've never worn carbon plated shoes personally. And I actually wish that I had just another pair of Kinvaras, because in like the last 20 miles, my ankles are tired, right? And you're on a platform. And so you're like, oh, and I mean, that's what was pretty sore after the race, was just my ankles from like trying to balance on these shoes. So I think next road ultra, I'll just stay with the Kinvaras.
Yeah. Yep.
Right, so give us, for the other folks who are listening in or watching, give us your background overall. How did you get in ultras? From what, like Nick's situation is unique, since I learned that this was jumped from 5K to 50 miles.
Yeah, I have a background. I think Ellie's background is way more obviously way more impressive than mine.
I mean, I don't know. I came to the running like in my early 20s. So I sort of just came to it because it was free, and I lived in Ithaca, and I didn't have any friends. So that's what I did. I just ran a little bit. And then, I mean, I didn't have immediate success. Like I was a victim of circumstance. I say, like, I didn't have much money. I didn't know anybody, and I had a lot of time. And also I discovered podcasts and endurance podcasts. And then I just decided to try some of the stuff that they were suggesting. And I met, like I said, I love community. I like people. I met a lot of people and at different races and stuff. And so it just sort of drew me in, and I like to see what my body can do. And so I just would try things. And I also am an avid reader. So I read a lot about running, and I read training books. And then I had success at a race. It was like a half marathon. I won one. And then success sort of, you want to, it feels good, right? It feels good to be successful at some ambiguous distance that somebody made up. And so then I just encouraged me to keep going. And then I met other women who were faster than me, and they said that I could run with them. And then I also met Ian Golden, who's my mentor from the Finger Lakes Running Company. He also puts on Ready Racing. He sponsors my running team. And he was very encouraging just to keep running and try things. And then his running company has the 50K called the Watergate 50K. And it's honestly the best first 50K you could ever do. It's on a rail trail. It's by this beautiful lake. It's in September. It's in the fall. So it's perfect weather. And it's basically pretty flat except for the end. And so I did that, and I won that. And then, it's like, it feels good. So then I just decided that I would keep trying ultras and stuff. And then I ran another 50K, and then I ran a 50 miler. And now I just like to do it all. I really just like running. I like all the people that I've met. I have some wonderful friends. Like, I mean, we ran together for like 18 miles. It's just different than if I had just spent 2 or 3 hours with somebody just, not running. It's just a little bit of a different kind of connection. And so that's why I keep doing it. It's just really fun. I get to meet a bunch of people, and why not? I mean, there are a lot there are a lot worse things I could do with my time, I guess.
Yeah, I can like definitely relate to that. I absolutely love and I'm obsessed with running. Like I've had injuries and it's just dreadful for me just sitting around. I'm like moody. I can't like stand anything. I get anxious. All I want to do is be out running. And I think that's why I love ultra running. It's just I'm out there longer, and it's really awesome. I mean, I do have like a background of running, but it's in high school I ran cross country and track, and I was middle distance. I ran for 1 year in college, and then I had injuries and whatnot. And then I finally got back into it in the beginning of the pandemic. And then luckily I haven't had anything serious since. So I've just been building and building, and to this. So I definitely haven't had any like impressive wins or anything before this race. But so this was my first of hopefully more to come. I don't know. We'll see.
I'll be anxious to see how you do at JFK. I mean, it could be, that's good. Like there'll be some good competition there. And I mean, even if you like say you don't place or don't do as well or whatever, I mean, I don't think that should be the focus anyway. I mean, if you only want to win, then you're not going to have a very long shelf life in ultras, because you're not going to win. Like I have to be honest, the male talent in ultras is very, very deep. But I think just you have a lot of potential, and just, I mean, you're so new and everything is exciting, and you're already very scientific. So if something, for example, in JFK goes wrong, you're going to figure out what went wrong and you're going to do it differently. So I think that's pretty exciting. It's going to be great. I'll be definitely watching.
Yeah, I know like the field there is very deep. I began like training a little bit differently than I did for CanLake. I'm on trails a lot, which I realize are very hard, and they're very scary in the Northeast because of the leaves on the ground. So you can't really see anything. And on top of that, there's rocks and roots and everything. So it's been a little bit different for me this past week, but I like it so far.
So when you guys are not running, so what do you do for a living, or what's your hobbies?
Sure. So I'll go first. Because actually it's funny, Nick actually lives a life that I just lived. So it's really great. So right now I'm finishing my degree in kinesiology. So I am doing that. And then I also work at a library, and I coach boys modified volleyball. So I'm juggling a couple of different things right now, and it sounds like a lot, but I have a very full, lovely life. And so, when I'm not doing that, I'm either in school or, my hobby is reading. So, and I just started cooking a lot more differently. Like I love to cook. I've always done it, but, just recently I've wanted to cook more ethnically. So I'm Polish, so I'm cooking a lot of Polish food right now. It's a good time. And I mean, I feel like a lot of running, cooking, you gotta eat if you want to run a lot. So I feel like it's gonna, it's great.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I love sleeping, definitely 9+ hours a night. Me.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm 22. I graduated college this past May, and then I got a finance job. I realized I didn't like it. This isn't really what I want to be doing with my life. I had a dream of running for a living and opening up a coffee shop, because I grew up going to my best friend's coffee shop. So I started working at the coffee shop, and that's what I still do, and will be doing for the foreseeable future, I guess.
I love this so much, because I just did that. Oh, it's so good. I love it.
And then I live in Saratoga Springs, New York, which I think is biasedly, I guess, or unbiasedly, the best town ever. I live with my girlfriend, and we just got a puppy. So that's also been keeping me busy during this training block. He's a Samoyed. And besides running and cooking and eating, I don't really, and working, I don't really do much. Like my life kind of just revolves around that.
So Nick, if you want to repeat what Ellie did in her life, you will have to live in a van for a year as well. So. Did she tell you about that?
Yeah, during the first 18 miles she did. And I said, you see the post on Instagram and social media, van life looks really cool. I don't know if I can make a van look as good as I see it on Instagram, but it looks pretty cool.
And I was like, oh, that is not how it is. Yeah. I mean, never say never. It was a good
Yeah.
experience, you
Really?
know, but
Yeah, very good. So the questions what I have by the Facebook users were asking is, what would you do differently next time if you run the CanLake Ultras?
go ahead.
Okay. So next year, I definitely want to come back. I really want to come back and go after that course record. So I don't know if that's me putting it out there, but if I'm not injured, I definitely plan on being back. Hopefully, I know Cole mentioned coming back too. I think it would be awesome to compete with him and see what we can do out there. And then what was the second part of the question?
Well, mostly what would you do differently
Okay.
after this experience? What adjustments would you do for next year?
Well, I'll have another year of consistently running under my block. I think during this block, I didn't do much speed work. I was mostly running easy with some fast stuff thrown in, but I think I would do more speed work. I wouldn't, more elevation definitely. And yeah, so more vert and more speed work. And then hone in on the nutrition a little bit more. And then hopefully try to stay injury free.
Okay, Ellie?
You know, I have to be, I don't really know because I signed up so soon. Like I didn't really think about training for it as much. I guess if I wanted to go back and like get the course record, definitely get a new pair instead of the second half, wear Kinvaras instead. I mean, now that I know the course, I can be a little bit more risk, like I can take a couple more risks because I knew there were only like two big hills. You know, I honestly bring somebody so that I have a sweet crew like Nick does. Just toss me the water bottles and then drive me home. That'd be great. I mean, I think to break, it's definitely breakable. Like honestly, I could probably, if I didn't have to go to the bathroom and change shoes, I could have stayed with Nick. Like in that maybe we would have ran faster because you know time flies and you feel better when you're running with somebody. So have somebody to run with, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you can always train differently. Obviously, I spent the summer training for mountain 100K. So I was doing like one workout a week, but so yeah, I guess I don't really, besides just those things that I mentioned, keep being consistent. That's it. That's really what ultra running is. And I got lucky too. So hopefully get lucky again.
Mhm. So another question from a Facebook user was, do you feel that you could have pushed any harder, or did you keep her in reserve to make sure that you finish comfortably?
I think in the beginning we could have pushed harder, but that's also a double-edged sword because you feel great, so you feel like you can push harder in the beginning. But then you might blow up more in the second half. I know past mile 38, I couldn't have ran any faster. I think I could have pushed maybe a little bit more, but I also didn't want to run alone in the beginning. So I don't regret what I did in the beginning. I mean, I think if I didn't stop a couple times and have the hamstring issue, my time would have been like 3 minutes less maybe. And I stopped a few more times to when I got water bottles because I had water dumped on me because I was getting hot. So if I take that stuff out, I think I could have been 5 minutes faster. But I mean, I could have obviously pushed more in the beginning, but I'm not experienced in ultras and I didn't want to risk that. And yeah, I really like running with somebody. And when I left at mile 18, I mean, I was scared because it's 32 miles alone. So I didn't know what was going to happen. So,
I mean, honestly, I think after you describing your training and me thinking about my training, I think we both performed to the level that we were capable of. That doesn't mean that we can't do better. It's just on that day, we performed to the level we could have. And who knows what next year will bring with more training and just a different day.
exactly.
There's another question by the Facebook user was about the electrolytes. You kind of touched up on this one before, but how much you pay attention to electrolyte balance when you plan for races, or do you wing it, or that's your plan?
Um, I know I paid a lot of attention to it because I was practicing every day over the summer, even on my easy runs and my long runs. Like I said, I used Scratch and Honey Stinger before. So I know those have a lot of electrolytes. They have a lot of sugar. They have a lot of sodium. It's like 300 milligrams, I believe, which is, you have to replace what you lose. And so I was really comfortable with my choices of fluids during it. So for me personally, it was really important and definitely a big part of my training that luckily I practiced with. So nothing new on race day.
For me, I don't have as calculated of an approach. But I start with gels, which have electrolytes in them. And then I also always eat pickles at aid stations, and that has the salt. And then, so I start out with that. And then in the second half of the race, I'm really in tune with my body. And I feel very lucky that I do listen to it. So usually in the second half of the race, I kind of know what I'm going to get. Like in the mile before the aid station, when I know it's coming, I go through my mind what I'm going to do at the aid station, especially because I go there, but I'm in and out quick. Like it takes me like 15 to 30 seconds at an aid station, unless I'm changing shoes. Cause I know I hand them my water bottle. They will fill it, take what you need and go. So I think I can do a little bit better with, rather than waiting for my body to tell me, I could prepare so my body doesn't have to tell me. But thankfully I haven't had any huge bonks where I waited too long. Would only be like if there was a very long stretch between aid stations. So I start off with the science products, I say, and then I move to what my body wants in the second half, which is usually fruit.
Very good. So Ellie stopped at the aid stations. One of the questions that other Facebook user asked was, did you stop at the aid stations at all, Nick?
Yeah, so no. And I always felt like kind of weird running by because I felt like I should have stopped. It looked nice. I was also afraid if I stopped running that I wouldn't be able to start again, which I don't know if that would have happened because I just wanted to keep moving. But no, I didn't stop.
So
all right.
Really look forward to them. You'll be like, yes, people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last question is, what's next for you guys in the future as far as outdoor running goes?
Well, I know you just did like a 30-mile race, right? Or was it a 6-hour race?
6-hour timed event. Yeah. I ran for 4 hours and 30 minutes of it. And then the last I sort of like walked and like hung out because that's kind of why I wanted to go, is just to hang out. So I was like, I'm going to stop because I just want to talk to people. And it's a really low key event in Rochester. So yeah, that was what I did. That's about it.
Yeah. So before CanLake, I also signed up for the JFK 50 miler. And I knew it was only 5 weeks apart. And I wasn't sure if, that was enough time. And then I especially wasn't sure afterwards from CanLake when, my legs, especially my quads, were absolutely destroyed. Like I really couldn't like walk down the stairs. Like I wish I was exaggerating. So it took me, a week. And then even my first couple of runs back, I was still feeling it. So yeah, JFK will be next for me. And after that, I don't know, definitely take a little bit of a break and then figure out what to do in the spring.
Very good. Well, congratulations again about winning the race and with awesome times. And Ellie probably have checked, are you still in the top 10 performances this year?
I didn't even know. I am not like, I don't know. My friends tell me these things. I can't get too into Strava or into any of that stuff because I'm not that competitive except for myself. And then like in the last like half an hour of the race. So I really like I said, my favorite thing about running is just meeting people and having a good time out there. So it's fun to win and it's fun to do these things, but mostly it's fun just because I get to meet a lot more people. Like, I think that's the funnest part. So I have no idea. And, I hope that somebody breaks it. Like, I think the greatest thing about running faster and that women are doing things like this is that we all are making each other better. So I hope somebody's broken it by now. I don't know.
No, I mean, that's awesome. From that perspective, I don't think there are not too many races who can brag about like 2 top 10 finishes in North America. So congratulations again, and just good luck
I know.
with all
Imagine
your.
if it was a flat course, Nick. Like, we could have flown.
It
No,
was such a good course, and it was so well put together. It was really, really nice. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Like I jokingly mentioned in one of the posts, a lot of it was like in a flat course, but nobody caught that was like. Anyway, yeah, guys, congratulations and thank you for your time for the interview, and good luck with everything.
Thank
Thank
you. Have a good evening,
you.
guys.
Thank
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Bye.